Well, I have to ask the question: what would it take to convince me that a God actually exists?
Oh, here we go.
And for me, I don't think there is any evidence that would actually convince me that a God exists. It's been often said that any sufficiently advanced technology can be mistaken for magic.
That would be Clark's law.
and in fact, if you can actually look this up on the Wikipedia, there's a scale called the Kardashev scale. And it's a theoretical method of measuring an advanced civilization's level of technological advancement. In a nutshell, it says that a Type 1 civilization can harness all the power available on a single planet.
Right.
A Type 2 can harness all the power available from a single star, and this is often known as a Dyson sphere or a Dyson swarm.
The idea is that the only way you can capture all of the energy of a star is completely cover the star and absorb all of its energy.
Exactly. But imagine how advanced a civilization would have to be in order to achieve that, to actually be able to build
I had some
a Dyson
problems
sphere.
with the Kardashev scale because it seems to suggest a single path linear development to planetary and galactic civilizations. But then I had somebody who was into this sort of thing explain it to me, and that it wasn't necessarily this is exactly how they're working, is that they're harnessing all this power, but sort of an indicator of how much power they're able to capture and how much power they're able to use effectively. So it's not as limiting as it sounds.
Right. Well, and it obviously it is theoretical, and it's only measuring a society's or a civilization's ability to harness energy, and it doesn't say anything about what type of civilization it is. The thing is, though, in this scale, it only goes up to Type 4, which is the ability to harness all the power from the entire universe. And oftentimes, in fact, in the scientific or in science fiction, this is sometimes referred to like the Q continuum from Star Trek.
I was wondering when you would get to Star Trek.
I've got to get to it sometime.
Well, we've actually got another call.
Okay,
and,
Kevin
maybe we'll
from
still tie
Seattle.
in. Kevin in Seattle, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How you guys doing?
Pretty good. What you got for us?
I'm calling because I've watched this once or twice, maybe 3 times so far, and I'm kind of confused because it seems to me that the terms, at least, okay, I think of myself as an agnostic, but I see the terms getting blurred. So I want to kind of put forward something and see if this fits into your idea of, a spectrum of beliefs.
Okay.
If you want to take a +1 and a -1 and put them at both sides of the scale and a 0 in the middle, I say you can put people who believe there's a God at one end, people who believe there is not a God at the other, and people who aren't sure in the middle. Now, is that roughly comport to what your understanding is of the 3 positions?
Well, this is actually similar to
this is very
Dawkins
close
scale.
to Dawkins scale of certainty, which you wanted to talk about.
Yes. In Dawkins scale, he actually goes from 1 to 7. 1 being absolutely certain that a God does exist, and 7 being absolutely certain that gods do not exist or cannot even exist. And for myself, I find that this is where that conundrum of being absolutely certain versus being
Darwin
open-minded
himself
comes
only
in.
classified himself as a 6, and I mean that's the thing. Dawkins. I got it wrong.
I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No, go right ahead. You were saying?
I guess. I think my thinking is if you go beyond like a 1, 0, -1, if you go into gradations on either side, it gets a lot more difficult to kind of identify your position, like I'm an agnostic leaning towards atheism, or I'm an agnostic leaning towards religious belief, or whatever. I mean, I think, because to me, I think the whole idea of belief, whether it's the belief that there is a God or belief that there's not one, tends to be a very hard-edged kind of idea.
It is, and
so I don't know that having a spectrum where you get like 7 degrees of gradation doesn't do anything but kind of muddy the water when you're actually trying to find out, do you say there is one, do you say there's not one, or you say he's not sure? And I think if you get into if you keep expanding the gray area, then you don't really have. People are free to say, well, I'm actually a 3.5.
Yeah, I try to. There's a lot of people who are coming up with ways to gradiate levels of belief and disbelief, and Dawkins has a 7-point scale. I happen to like yours a little bit more. It makes it a little clearer to me. Actually.
It is actually continuous,
and then it makes it a continuous scale. I do like that. But for me, I try to stick to operational definitions of atheism, agnosticism, and stuff like that, rather than philosophical ones. How do you act? Do you act like someone? You're an agnostic? The question remains open. Do you act like there's a God and go to church and do these things? Which church do you go to? How many gods are you afraid of? Things like that. Versus, yeah, I mean that's the thing, and that's actually all the time we've got for this call.
I wouldn't assume that anybody goes to church unless they believe in a God.
Yeah.
Maybe I'm misunderstanding their religious position. I don't know.
Well, it could go many ways, and, but we got to get going. So thanks for your call, Kevin.
Yes, thanks,
Okay.
Kevin.
All right, you have a good day, good afternoon. But yeah, I mean, there's sort of the operational agnosticism. If you're sort of an atheist agnostic, you don't really worry about it too much. And then there's also sort of the Unitarian Universalist type of agnosticism, where it's sort of a pantheism, sort of anything could happen,
Right.
Type situation. I can kind of go both ways, but like I said, I go for a definition that's more how you act versus what you believe, because what you can believe changes. And actually, that's our show for today. Again, if you'd like to meet with us in person, we're going to be at the RAM at Northgate Mall at 4:30. Love to see you there. Thanks for talking with me, Jerry.
Been my pleasure.
Yeah,
it was fun.
See you next time. Again, the podcast is coming soon. I promise.
Thanks for tuning in.
We good?